Welcome to Not Your Average Neighbor, the podcast celebrating inspiring individuals and the amazing work they do in our community. I'm Ann Roushar, your host, inviting you to join me as we shine a light on stories of resilience, connection, and good news. Let's build a neighborhood that uplifts and inspires, one story at a time. Howdy, neighbors. It's your hostess with the mostest, Ann Roushar, and welcome to season 4. Yes, we are in our 4th season era. We're so excited to be here. Thank you for hanging out at my neighborhood. And today, I'm actually interviewing this person tonight. So I just told my friend Josh, I said, I'm going to call this Neighborhood After Dark. But because, I'm elderly pretty much, and I like to go to bed like at 8:30. So, that's the era I'm in as well. But anyway, thanks again for stopping by. I always like to start out shouting out one of my favorite neighbors, and I would be remiss not to shout out my numero uno favorite neighbor ever, and that is my husband, Jeff Roushar. He is, and the reason why I'm doing this is because Father's Day is on Sunday, June 21st. By the way, it's my birthday as well. Send cards. I accept them all month of June. So anyway, my husband is incredible. And although he's not my father, he is an amazing father to our son Jackson and our dog Reggie. And sometimes he's a great father to friends who need a dad and don't have one. We actually call him Daddy, and not in a sexual weird way. We call him Daddy because Jackson, when he was young, used to scream out the window, "Daddy!" And that's how he got the nickname. Not some weird like sex cult thing, okay? Don't get it twisted. Anyway, so happy Father's Day to my wonderful husband. Thank you for being the rock of our family. Although I am the event coordinator, fun coordinator, you are the rock that keeps us grounded and together. So I love you, and I hope you have a great day. And sure, the best gift you're going to get from me is my day of birth. So you're welcome. He'll laugh at that. Anyway, now we're going to bring to the stage my friend, Josh Staley.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Josh. Thanks so much for being here. Sorry, I really went down a road there for a second.
Oh, you're totally fine. Happy upcoming birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. As my friends like to say, I celebrate way too much for a woman of my age. I will be 53, by the way, and I act 23 sometimes. So, 30 years, it's fine. Whatever. We're not judging. Anyway, Josh, thank you so much for being here. I like to just give a brief info or introduction of how I met you. But first, I'm going to read your bio. Josh Staley, for those of you who don't know, is a stand-up comedian and show producer here in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Over the last 11 years, he's regularly performed across local venues as well as hosted and produced comedy shows aimed at building the area's growing stand-up community, which I'm so glad is still here. He actively produces the Laugh Local series, which provides a stage for regional talent, and his comedic style relies on relatable observations covering everything from dating, pets, and everyday life. So welcome, Josh. Thanks again for being here.
Thanks again for having me.
You betcha. I like to kind of give a little backstory, and I saw you post on a Cedar Rapids local thread, and I believe you were posting about an upcoming event that we're going to talk about. And I was like, ooh, a comedian. Like as you and I met a couple times now, as you know, I am a big fan of comedy and, think I'm hilarious in my head. But I was like, ooh, yay, comedy. There's a comedy event. I'm all in. Tell me more. And that is going to be July 11th. It's called Teachers Give You the Comedy Report Card. And that will be Saturday, July 11th at 6:30 and 8:30. And that's going to be at the Ideal Theater here in Cedar Rapids. Oh, it's called Not a School Night. Teachers Give You Comedy Report Card. And NADA is spelled NADA because it's not a school night.
Right.
So I met you and I was like, oh my God, I want to interview you. And so we had a couple beers at our local tavern here in town. Shout out Red Frog. And we just started talking and we discovered that we know someone who has been on this podcast before, Tim Sullivan.
Yeah, I actually had the opportunity to open for Tim Sullivan's 30th anniversary show at the Olympic Theater back towards the end of January of this year. So I originally met Tim doing open mics at Penguins back in the day when I first started comedy. And I've just always admired the guy. Super nice dude. Very funny. Got to be on the roast of Cedar Rapids with him back in March, I want to say it was. So yeah, just anytime I can share the stage with them is always a pleasure.
Oh my gosh, he's so funny. But you guys definitely have different styles, and that's what I love. That everyone has their place. Speaking of that, another thing that we will promote is open mic nights at Old Neighborhood Pub in the Irish District here in Cedar Rapids. And I went on Tuesday night, and I gotta say, some of those guys were kind of grumpy. Were they on their periods, or was the moon in the phase of like being a little bitch?
Like Mercury was in the Gatorade or something. Honestly, the Old Neighborhood Pub is probably one of my favorite mics because it's just a consistent, busy, like hopping time every Tuesday. There's always,
it was packed.
Yeah, always a good crowd, standing room only, usually if you don't get there before it starts at 7. And, a lot of the same comics, but they travel from everywhere from, Cedar Falls, Des Moines, even on occasion, Ames.
Yeah.
So Quad Cities, we get comics from pretty much all over the state that come specifically for that mic. And as you might have noticed, this Tuesday, we only got to do 3 minutes because we had so many comedians that showed up.
So many. It was fantastic. I really thought the weather was like nice and cool for June. I thought, oh man, I hope people come.
Yeah,
they came. They showed up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's honestly, that mic has bounced around a few times. That was the original Tuesday night open mic that was at the Lucky Cat venue prior to it closing in February of 24. We were at Iowa Brewing for a while until April 1st of 2025. So funny enough, we started the open mic at Old Neighborhood Pub on April Fool's Day.
Oh my God. What did everyone think?
We were like, no, seriously, it's there on April 1st. Like, you should show up. Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's been a great venue. The owner, Drea, is fantastic. Ben's the bartender every Tuesday. Just super reliable, great service, good food. It's just a whole vibe. And it's kind of always been that way. The nice thing with that mic is, everybody that came out from the prior Tuesdays just traveled with us. And then we just had new people that kind of grew into it, or some of even the regulars at Old Neighborhood Pub are like, you know what? At first, maybe they were a little hesitant to accept it. But they've since kind of embraced it, and they're still there every Tuesday to support comedy and enjoy the atmosphere for sure.
Oh my gosh. And shout out to the cook. He got up there and
killed. That was the first time that I've seen him do comedy, and he might have run the light by a few minutes, but that's okay. It's his first time, so that's a common mistake that comics will make. But 3 minutes, God,
I loved it so much. And I told him he needs to have Tuesday tube files or something like that, just because that's what we all want to know, the tea.
Right. I didn't know you could hear what everybody in the bar was saying when you were down in the basement, like getting supplies and things. So now I'm like, maybe I should watch what I say in there more often.
Or not.
Yeah. I'll just worry about whether or not he heard me. Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be fine. And then he'll share. I'm sure he will keep everyone confidential and not say their names. But man, He killed it,
Yeah.
actually. And so I enjoyed him. I enjoyed, I don't remember any of their names because there were so many of them. There was a little, not a little, but a little bit taller than me, redheaded guy with a beard.
Adam Meyer.
Oh my God, he
Yeah.
was super funny.
Yeah. Cedar Falls usually comes down most Tuesdays. So I've had the pleasure of doing mics with him up in Cedar Falls, where they do them at the Octopus once a month. Been on a couple of showcases with him, and he comes down a lot of times Tuesdays. We also have an open mic on Wednesdays at Parlor City. That's relatively new. Yeah,
That's right.
that one starts a little later. So if the concern is getting to an open mic by 7, that one starts at 8. Sign up at 7:30. It's honestly been growing. I'll be honest, the first few that I went to, I wasn't entirely sure how they were going to go or how that mic would maintain, because the people that were just there for dinner were not overly ecstatic about having to be subjected to comedy. Last night was honestly the best night that we've had. We had, I think, around 11 comics, crowd that was actually there specifically to listen to comedy. And even the few people that were just kind of happened to be in there when we dropped in, still seemed to turn around and, and actually focus and listen to the show. Sometimes bar open mics can be a little bit sketchy just because you're contesting with people that aren't there at all to see comedy. They're there to chat with their friends, whatever it might be. So,
yeah, there was an annoying woman behind us, and I'm like, I felt like we were getting targeted. I'm like, dude, it's not us, it's that woman. I wanted to say.
You can absolutely say that, like, especially if they're calling you out, you'd be like, no, like, this is the person you need to talk to. I usually let it slide unless it's like so obnoxious that you can't hear me, which I'm loud enough without a microphone, so that's usually not an issue. But if somebody's really disruptive, then I'll usually call them out. And a little bit of embarrassment goes a long way to get them to shut the hell up, honestly. So
Right, exactly. Yeah, yeah. I mean, just shut it. We're not here to hear your talk with your friend Mindy.
absolutely.
So let's get into your journey a little bit. Being a comedian, like, how did this start for you?
I guess, I mean, if you look at different eras of my life, I was always the class clown growing up. I was the kid that got in trouble for talking too much throughout class. Some would argue that, I was too smart for the material they were teaching. And like, that's why I was bored and I was using the time to talk instead. But I honestly think I just wanted to talk to people and have them listen to me. Bill Burr had a stand-up special a couple years ago, I think on Hulu. And one of the things that he said was stand-up, I realized, was one of the first times that you can just walk into a room and immediately make people like you. And that's like, that hit on a level, like, very personally, that, I wasn't always the most popular kid by any means. And so, yeah, that ability to just break into a crowd of people that you don't know and immediately have them focus and be like, I want to hear what this guy has to say. It's a crazy feeling.
Yeah.
None of the comics, generally speaking, are all mentally together, if you will. That's probably the nicest way to say it. We all have our fair share of problems.
Drama.
Minimum ADHD, farther scale depression and things that people are contesting with as well. And somehow comedy is just that outlet that lets you be yourself, and still utilize kind of your weirdness to entertain people. And it's such a rewarding feeling to just make a dumb joke and have somebody laugh at it. I didn't start actually doing stand-up comedy until my 30s. So I'm 44 now. I'll be 45 at the end of this year. And I look back at some of the, I look at the younger comics that are out there now, like Vic, if you saw him, hilarious kid, about to move to Chicago, I think, in the near future. And, there's limitations of how far you can go sometimes in Cedar Rapids as far as comedy. But I look at these kids and I'm like, man, I wish I would have started when they did. I don't know where I would be now. Maybe I'd still be here in Cedar Rapids, but I'd have, 15 more years under my belt of experience. And, and for whatever that's worth,
I get that. The same. When I started real estate, I was like 42. Well, not maybe 40, maybe 44. I don't know. But I was like, oh, yeah, let's just start a new career. And now I'm like, gosh, I wish I would have started um, earlier. But everything happens the way it's meant to be. So, um,
Yeah.
for sure. I definitely feel that.
I ended up starting actually doing comedy in 2015, which was Penguins. That was the place in Cedar Rapids. That was the only open mic that we had at the time. A couple others, like, opened at bars after the fact, but nothing really like that Wednesday night, in the dingy basement of Penguins with a bunch
How I miss
people.
the dingy basement of Penguins.
It's
It's
weird.
just a vibe to
Yeah,
walk in a comedy place and go downstairs in a
I
dark
agree.
room. It's a vibe. And for those youngsters who may be listening, Penguins was the comedy club in Cedar Rapids, Iowa for many, 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 many years. And it is definitely missed, but I love this community that has been built, and you guys are finding other venues to host to keep it alive because we're the second largest city in the state. Like, let's show our comedy pride.
Right. Absolutely. And that's one of the things. Penguins is still probably the most recognized name. If you ask a random person from Cedar Rapids, where can I see comedy? They may not even know that Penguins closed like after the pandemic, but they'll at least remember the name as it pertains to comedy. And I think that Haley with Lucky Cat did a really good job of kind of, continuing that to have a spot where people could go. But the one thing that Cedar Rapids lacks right now is just a comedy dedicated venue. And I've talked to a few people that have ideas, wants to create that again. And I'm fully in support of it. And I'm like, whatever I can do,
Mhm.
whether it's helping you to book shows, like let me know, because I would love to have that as well.
Mhm.
Just a place where, every Friday, Saturday night, you can go and see a show. You don't have to track it down to a specific venue.
Right. It shouldn't be a speakeasy where we can't find it. We need it to be
Dingy
word
basement.
on the street. We all know where to go laugh. Yeah, for sure. I was thinking about that too. Secretly back in the day, not I yeah, I was a terrible waitress, but I was such a comedy enthusiast. I was like, maybe I'll be a waitress there. And then I'm like, hell no, because they have to like crouch down with all these bottles, like blah, blah, blah. I don't have the balance for that. So it quickly, but man, they used to pack them in there back in the day. And we'd get really good comedians. I think we were kind of going over our list of
Yeah.
people that we've seen there. And I mean, it's quite impressive. And I think, I said during the flood, they were out at Sheraton, which at Ramada maybe is the name now, out on 33rd Avenue. They just hosted it in a ballroom. And I saw Jennifer Coolidge and Pauly Shore there. And I mean, it was fine, but it still wasn't Penguins. So
Right.
if you
Right.
can get one of those downstairs dungeons to have back in the queue, that would be kind of fun. I don't know, how are those even doing? Like, I was wondering, there's such great spaces. Are they even like habitable?
That's honestly, I don't know, because I mean, Penguins became that true nightclub. There was a lot of
Yeah.
drama and
Yeah.
issues there for a while, and then
Yeah.
honestly, I've never heard another word about that building. So I mean, the
Yeah.
dingy basement still exists. As far as what it is or what it looks like in there, I
Right.
couldn't tell you. But
Yeah. Well, I'm
but
in
yeah,
real estate. I guess I could maybe inquire.
there you go. Find a buyer for a space that's in a dingy basement and get them
Yep.
to open a comedy club. You got it.
Yes. If you know someone, bring them our way, and Josh will help them bring the funny, and all they have to do is bring the money.
Yep.
Oh, no, you didn't. Yes, I did. Okay, so who was the first person that genuinely believed in you to be a stand-up comedian besides yourself, because you have to believe in yourself? Who was the first person that was like, yes, absolutely, go for it?
Oof. I don't
Yeah.
know that I garnered a ton of support when I first started doing comedy, because the first time I went to an open mic to perform, I invited like 20 to 30 of my coworkers, which was a horrible, horrible idea.
Oh,
And I was that much more nervous because I knew these people.
yes.
I could have just
Yes.
gone up and made an ass of myself in front of complete strangers. That's much easier to deal with. So all of my friends and coworkers were like, "Oh, you look nervous. Like, here's a shot." So by the time I finally got on stage, it wasn't a great set. And I've seen some people come out their first time and do pretty well. I was not one of those people. And it took a little while to kind of like realize that I have to balance the nerves without, drinking too much.
Right,
And
right. No,
I
that's
will say,
interesting.
generally speaking, the community here in Cedar Rapids, or really across Iowa, is very supportive. The one thing that, doesn't necessarily fly is if you're punching down on a lot of people in the jokes that you're telling. If you're making homophobic or racist jokes, nobody's going to be like, "Good job, buddy. See you next
I
week."
mean, there were a couple at open mic night, and I was like, read the
Oh, yeah.
room,
They
idiots.
still exist. Yeah.
What?
There are a lot of people when they start doing comedy that think just shocking people with what they say is in itself comedy, and that's not really how that works. You can tackle some very sensitive subjects, but it's
But you
all
have
in
to be
how you
smart
approach
about
it.
it.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have some brains behind that brawn
Yeah.
to pull it off and not offend people. And I was like, ooh. But oh well. I mean, I'm not up there doing it. And I'm sure I would be criticized as well, because I love to put my foot in my mouth.
Comedy is a great place for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
An open mic is the best place to probably do that. And I've seen it happen plenty of times. I've been guilty of it myself.
Yeah.
I usually try to stay relatively clean with the comedy that I write, but I'll teeter on some subjects. I have a joke about the Challenger, which is lost on anyone that's, under 40, basically. But the people that get it, usually it has kind of like a ooh, like a groan almost. And then you finish with the punchline. And then there's like that subtle kind of buildup of the chuckle afterwards. And it's designed to do that. Like, I wrote that joke knowing this part's gonna like make people go, "Oh," and then you just bring them back in. And like, comedy, it's subjective. So you're gonna find people that, maybe they were personally offended by your Challenger disaster joke. But generally speaking, as long as you're appealing to a pretty wide audience, you're okay with the content and the material that you're doing.
Yeah. I know comedians say we're all too soft, we're all too woke, but also, like, were they funny jokes, or did we just laugh because we were like, holy shit, I can't believe that came out of their mouths? I don't know. I enjoy something like that where it's like, we can all appreciate and then go, oh yeah, we saw that, and then no, I won't. I won't go into that one kid's like story about his plane. I was like, no, that's not funny. But speaking of kind of like chuckles, or which is worse as a comedian, complete silence or like fake laughter? Which is worse?
Ooh, I would say complete silence is, I don't know, because if it's complete silence, I'm going to say something like to follow up the joke about the complete silence as far as the response. Whereas at least if people, even if they're faking it, kind of chuckle, I'll probably just move on to the next joke. There are plenty of times I've delivered a joke and maybe it worked, at a previous mic or a previous show. And then for whatever reason, this crowd, it does not work. And the big thing is just don't let that phase you. Like, everybody should experience bombing as a comic. And
oh my gosh, as a human,
yeah. Like, there's something about, I've got a very like tight 5. I've got a tight 10-minute set, and those are like my opening sets that like I rely on when I know, okay, I just need a solid 10 minutes. I need a solid 5 minutes. But I don't want to go every week and do those same jokes. But then at the same time, like if I'm delivering those, and not getting the response that I do, it's usually because I'm not delivering it the same way. Like I got too comfortable with relying on people to laugh. And so sometimes kind of phone it in a little bit when it's something that you're really comfortable doing, or you're repeating something you've done, 100 times over.
Right.
Bombing is good. It's good for the comedic soul.
Bombing is good. It gives you character, it gives you grit, it gives you the kick in the pants that you need sometimes. So yeah.
That's it. Sometimes you
And
kind
I
of go
mean,
back and you evaluate and say, okay, like this set usually kills what happened. And I will tell like any aspiring comics or people out there that listen to this that are starting to do comedy, record
right.
yourself and record
Yeah.
yourself even at open mics. I bought a little clip-on lapel mic, and so I can put my phone across the room. That way you don't pick up all the background noise.
Right.
But going back and watching those, even if it's a set I've done before, you'll find, oh, I should have punched this word a little bit differently, or I could have given a pause for 10 more seconds because people were really laughing at that one.
Yeah.
It's a good tool to utilize to help improve what you're doing.
I agree. And I remember Tim Sullivan back in the 1900s when I went to go see him. He was recording his set, and it was like now he gets to listen to those and like just laugh at himself for how young he was. But
Yeah,
also like it's fun, right? It's fun to have that
right.
history and to
For sure.
learn from it. That being said, I know you said the comedians are pretty supportive of everyone in the community, or the other comedians in the community. Do you have like a networking group or a support group that you guys have that where you're like, hey, can someone sit in with me on this and tell me if this worked or what I could do better? Or who's your mentor in the area? Those are like three questions, but so answer as you wish.
Yeah. So when I started doing comedy, there's a guy named Mike Lucas out of Iowa City, and Tim knows him as well. So maybe I'm sure somewhere along the lines you've seen Mike Lucas. I
Okay.
always called him the stepdad of comedy when I started because that's kind of like the dynamic that he provided.
Nice.
Just a super down to earth guy, and if you said something that wasn't funny, like he would let you know. But at the same time, if he said, hey, what, I like this premise that you're working with, like he was the kind of guy that would offer, hey, if you want it, I could offer you some advice. Most comics, if you approach them and just want to workshop jokes, like they're pretty receptive to it. The issue is usually coordinating a bunch of us ADHD kids to actually get in the same space to work together
Oh,
to work.
sure.
We've
Sure.
tried to set up like, oh, okay, every Thursday, second Thursday of the month, we'll all meet up. And then, after a month or two, that kind of dies off because it's the same like three people that show up every time. And the other people are like, I'll be there at the next one. And then, you kind of let it go at some point. But I think it's kind of weird because if you don't know a comic very well, if you don't have that kind of relationship
Right.
with them, you shouldn't just be like, hey, I think I can help you make your joke better.
Yeah, 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 of
Um,
course.
it's kind of like, I played golf this last weekend with my buddy who's a fellow comic. And one of the guys that we were playing with, that we got paired up with, was like a young college kid that played college golf. Like he was way better than we were, after college years for sure. And so he said, hey, can I give you a little bit of advice? That goes a long way versus just being like, here's what you should do next time. But generally speaking, if you approached a comic and said, hey, can I give you some advice about this joke or, this punchline that you wrote? Most of us are going to be receptive to at least hearing what you have to say. We might
Right.
know what it is and be like, that's stupid. We're not doing
Yeah.
that. But I've helped write tags for other comics that kind of help make a joke better, and vice versa. I've had comics that messaged me after an open mic and said, hey, what if you kind of went this direction with it instead of the direction that you went? And comedy should always be evolving. Like you can have a
Yes.
take 5, you can have your 10-minute opening set that you're comfortable with. but that should never be what you always rely on. Writing is huge, and I don't do it enough sometimes. I don't do it enough, to do this on a professional basis. That's why I have a day job and I just do comedy, in my free time whenever it's possible.
How long does it take you to make a 5-minute set? Like, how long does that take?
Like from like writing it to like
Yeah,
rehearsing it and doing it on a stage.
I mean, it's not just 5 minutes.
It honestly depends. I usually write in spurts, and for some weird reason, it's when my brain is tired. So it's like right before I should be going to bed because I have to work the next day. I think that what's happening is my mind has settled enough to like reduce the amount of ADHD and background noise that's playing to allow my brain to be like, oh, that's a good idea. And I'll jot it down. I mean, I could come up with a 5-minute set from scratch, probably in 30 minutes to an hour if I had to. Is that going to be my best 5 minutes? Absolutely not. And then the other thing is, once you write a joke, that's not the final version of that joke. I will still go and tell jokes that I wrote 10 years ago to find a different way to deliver it, to see if I can make it better. Or maybe you just add an extra tag that, adds 30 seconds to that joke because you get an extra punchline or two in there. I've taken some of the best jokes I've written were 10 years ago, but I've continued to add on to them or rework them in a way to keep them relevant and, and make them still enjoyable to tell and still, hit the same way that they did 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Is there one thing that people assume about comedians that isn't true, besides like being a morning person that is normal and doesn't have any trauma? No, I'm just kidding. What's one thing that people often assume that you're like, no, that's not. Maybe it's that you're all nice and you all like each other, really. I don't know.
That's definitely not it. There are cliques within comedy. There are, people that produce shows that work specifically against each other instead of trying to create a broader community that everybody gets a chance to enjoy. And like, I'm not going to name names or throw anyone under the bus, but that happens here. It happens in Des Moines. It happens in every comedy scene across Iowa.
Yeah.
I guess
what's a misconception of being a stand-up comedian? I guess what's a misconception of like that people, does anyone ever say anything and you're like, that's totally off base of what it really like?
People always say that I'm brave for doing comedy, and I honestly don't feel that way at all. Like, whether I'm talking to myself at home in like the quiet of my, my office here, or I'm like shouting on the street corner like a crazy person, you're not brave necessarily for getting up and doing comedy. Like, anyone can go on a stage and say shit into a microphone for 5 minutes. Is it going to be enjoyable to the people that are listening? Is it going to bring people back? Is it going to have people wanting to see that person do it again? That's what's brave, being able to continue to push yourself and challenge yourself. That's far more brave than just getting on stage and talking into a microphone. I've never considered myself to be like, I've always been a very social person. I've always been very outgoing from childhood on, but I've never felt like, oh, okay, I'm doing this because other people won't. Like, I'm not a champion for anybody else. This is for me and my own enjoyment. And the moment it stops being that might be the moment I stop doing comedy, honestly. Yeah. I love entertaining people, but as much as I'm working towards that, this is for me as well. So
yes, like this podcast. I always say, although someday I'd love to make a little coin from it. For right now, I'm doing it for purely selfish reasons because the world is a dumpster fire and I need good news and good people. And I do feel like you are a champion of comedians locally. And I do think that you are a safe space for people to, lean on if that's what they're looking at doing. Who knows? Maybe I will become God. God forbid, not her really, but maybe I'll become the next Roseanne Barr and be 50 years old and go to a comedy.
Early Roseanne.
I mean,
okay.
not
Don't be
her.
late.
Not
Don't be
her.
later, Roseanne. Yeah.
Yeah, no, early Roseanne.
Yeah. That's fair. Honestly,
Well,
like
just
for anyone that listens, I thought about doing comedy for years. It was always like one of those things in the back of my mind that said, someday I'm going to get on a stage and I'm just going to see what happens. And, you know, I wish I had pushed myself to do that a lot sooner than I did, but it's never too late. I don't care if you're 70 years old listening to this and you're like, I want to go. Come out, you know, if you're hearing this locally, come out on Tuesday to Old Neighborhood Pub. There's probably not a better open mic in the, you know, the near vicinity that's as welcoming and inviting as that room and that crowd and the fellow comedians there are. So
I agree. I felt like walking in there and all of you guys were standing outside, like talking and catching up. It just felt like such a cool moment to witness, actually. But who was the gentleman that, the older gentleman that was just first time ever? He was reading his stuff. Don't you? Oh, no, you might have been gone by then. I
I
don't
did leave a
remember.
little early, which I usually will stay the whole mic, but I had to, yeah, I had some things to finish for a job interview that I had on Wednesday. So I actually got a job offer today. So the interview on Wednesday went really well. I
Good.
accepted it. I don't know if this will come out before I give my 2 weeks.
No,
my
it'll
current
probably come
employer,
out maybe in a. How much time you need?
no, it's fine. Honestly, I'm going to tell them in a couple of weeks because I don't start for another month at the new place, but I don't like the job I'm in now anyways. So if they find out early, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah, because this is going viral, Josh. Well, I did enjoy your reference to it was Stephen Colbert, right? First, people say that you look like him, and then it was John Oliver, and you're like, not sure. We're the same age, probably, so or whatever. And then it was
Yeah.
Pee Wee Herman, and I'm like, oh my God, you do have a little Pee Wee. Oh,
Yep.
that's a clip right there, right?
Oh yeah. That's
No.
honestly a
You
comic
have a resemblance to Pee Wee.
from childhood on. So like, you know, in his heyday, like I still got that comparison. And I definitely still do to this day.
Oh my God, did you?
I love Pee Wee Herman though. Like,
I
so
do too.
I'm not
Did
mad
you?
about it. Yeah.
No, did you watch his documentary that he made? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Pulled on the
Oh,
heartstrings quite a bit. Yeah.
oh, absolutely. And he's just such a, he was such a star. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And yeah. So like we mentioned, there are a couple gigs coming up here. And I wanted you to talk about, well, the one is weekly, weekly, but talk about Not a School Night and let us know all the deets and what we can expect, what can we look forward to, why should we buy tickets?
Yeah. So July 11th, we have an early show at 6:30 and a late show at 8:30. So doesn't matter whether you want to grab dinner before or after. You can catch a comedy show that Saturday night at the Ideal Theater. It is not a school night, and the theme is teachers, just education in general. So I myself am the host. I have some jokes and bits that I've been working on about my own experiences growing up in the education system as opposed to teaching. Every one of the comics on the lineup is either a former teacher or a current teacher. So two of them, Mindy and Helene, actually I met at Iowa Brewing when that was the Tuesday mic location. And they came out. I hosted the first night that both of them came and did comedy. And hearing a teacher say the F word outside of like the school environment is entertaining. And everybody can enjoy that because it's just funny to see somebody that you have this like kind of rigid perception of. And then
absolutely. Like, I still, when I see my teachers, still, I call them Mr. Bowen, Mr. You know, I'm like, I can't say Bob or whatever. I can't, they don't have first names.
No, yeah, absolutely not. And both of them have a great local support. They were both teachers in Center Point, so a lot of people will come out to see them. Anytime. That first open mic that they did, I was like, why are there so many people here? Like way more than the normal turnout for a Tuesday. And it was because they brought them with. And so it's, you know, two beloved former teachers in the Center Point community. They're pretty well known around all of Cedar Rapids. So they'll have a ton of people there to support them. Our headliner,
I'm telling you, Mindy was one of the funniest on
she's
Tuesday
the best.
night. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Mindy Kruckenberry, is that how you say it? Kruckenberg. Sorry. I'm just.
If you say it wrong long enough, you'll eventually start saying it right, is what I learned. So, yeah.
Well, she was hilarious. And then Haleen, is that the other one? So
Elaine,
they were both.
Elaine Cummings. She is also a former teacher at Center Point. She does come occasionally on Tuesdays. I think she's just had a busy summer with traveling and things. So we were lucky that this show originally was going to be in April and it got rescheduled due to some things that had come up. And I was kind of worried she was going to be on vacation for the date that we were scheduled for July 11th. But luckily she will be back just in time to make the show. Same thing, a lot of, you know, just real life experiences, not only in the classroom, but kind of everything that comes along with that teacher. Because like you said, when you see them out in the community, they're still a teacher in everyone's mind. And so hear them come and deliver, you know, they're not like raunchy by any means, but just to deliver, hearing them speak like a real person and not like you expect them to speak as a teacher is in itself as entertaining as can be. And then just a lot of the stories and things that they've experienced in the time teaching is in itself, you know, makes for good bits. Our headliner, Carson Tuttle, is still actively a middle school teacher in Iowa City. He's been doing comedy for quite some time. I met him, I think, back in the day at the Penguins years as well. And so he's always been a super funny guy, you know, and still teaching. So to this day, he'll have a brand new bit, you know, anytime you see him about just the crazy things that are happening. And I can't imagine what teaching middle school kids is like now, but it's very different from our time that we were in middle school for sure. Like, technology.
Oh my God, I always enjoy those
things that didn't exist. Yeah.
I always enjoy those TikToks where the teachers dress up as their students and like, you know, imitate them. And it's like, I would have never talked to my teacher like that. And then also my other favorite TikTok story is Joe Dombrowski. He was a kindergarten teacher, I think, and so flippin' funny. He's no longer one. I don't think he could be with his content.
That's fair. That's fair.
Well, that sounds so much fun. How do they get tickets to this?
So you can follow my Facebook page, Josh Staley Comedy. Staley. If you want, you can also just follow my regular profile. I post on both, and I will admit the promoting on social media is not like a super native concept to me. So the comedy page has posts, but it's fairly limited. I don't have a ton of reels of myself doing comedy and things on there.
Get on it.
It's something that I really need to just devote a weekend to taking all these clips and putting them together to make that page a little more full. Otherwise, you can go to the Ideal Theater's website. Okay. It is idealtheaterandbar.com. And then under featured events, you can find this show on July 11th. There are
pre-sales. And we'll tag it in our Facebook posts as well and all of that too. So good. Good.
Well, pre-sale tickets save you $5, $15 pre-sale. And $20 at the door. So, you know, I'll keep posting on my comedy page. If an early show or the late show sells out, I'll let you know. But yeah, there's still plenty of tickets available at the moment. I'm probably going to hit up Pride at the end of the month here with some flyers as well.
Yay!
To continue getting the word out. But it's going to be a fantastic show. Both shows will sell out. So definitely if you're thinking that you want to go, get those tickets in advance. You can also book like table reservations if you'll have a group so that you for sure have a table as opposed to bar seats and things that are available there as well. Yeah, but the Ideal Theater is a great venue for comedy. It's just a fun place fun space, lots of drink options, lots of like fancier cocktails if you want. So yeah,
It's beautiful in there.
Yeah.
It's so nice to see that building revived and revitalized. So anyway, well, thank you again for taking time to come to my neighborhood, and
Yeah.
we will see you on July 11th.
Sounds
This
good.
might post before your job, but you know.
That's okay. That's okay. They're not. My boss is in Pennsylvania. She's not going to watch it, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. It will not hit her algorithm. That's for sure. Well, thanks again. And thank you, neighbors, for joining me. This is season 4, episode 1. We're so excited to kick off another season. And we'll see you hopefully on July 11th or at Pride at the end of the month down in Newville. That'll be very fun. And don't forget to like, follow, share all the things on Apple Podcasts, on YouTube, Spotify, wherever there is a social media page, you could probably see my face. So like it, comment, share, and let's just continue building an amazing neighborhood. We'll see you next time. Bye.